And your hand? Got a pill for that?
I'll fix it.
I think my hand is magic. Why, I don't know. Whenever I look at it, it starts to glow, and it's magic with this ninja leaf. Turning to me for orders, say I'm meant to leave. I'll tell you about the magic, cause it's really cool. It's a gift from my dead boyfriend, Rachel Ghoul. I used to date a cop, then things went bad. Went a little crazy, killed mom and dad, joined the maniacs, and I opened a club. I couldn't fit in no matter how hard I tried. Tabitha attacked me and I wound up dead. That's when I met my savior. I was revived by the demon's head.
Hello, and you are listening to the Gotham Chronicle podcast, powered by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out the Batman Universe for this and many other great Batman podcasts. I'm Josh, and joining me is...
This is Donovan.
This is Jan.
And this episode is called One of My Three Soups. I didn't even have to look at Futon credit for that one. Like, that one I remembered, which, because of that whole thing with, Jerome and his uncle. So, yes, there is an Arkham Asylum breakout, and everyone is there, including Peyton List as the new Scarecrow, recast. Never takes off the mask, though, so it could be anyone under there.
Sexualizing another villain once again.
Yeah. Selena's like, Jonathan Crane, this isn't like you. We've never interacted. So that's not the point. So, because we didn't get enough of him in season 3, Mad Hatter's back, and derping with Gordon, making him you have to choose, save nobody or save nobody, and Gordon gets to play DJ as he tries to save the lives of everyone, including his pal Harvey, who has to remind him, there's a weird part at the beginning. He's like, remember, don't tell those cops when you're lecturing them about Arkham that you let Sophia bring the pig to town. Why would I randomly bring that up during an Arkham Asylum breakup? I don't know. You bring up weird things sometimes.
It's true, though. He's not wrong.
Yeah, Bruce is concerned because he feels responsible for Jerome because he let Jerome live in that circus episode last season. That was really good. So he and Selena, go out looking for Jerome and find Jerome torturing a relative of his, and we get some fun there. And we get some answers over why Barbara Keene's hand glows in the dark now. She is the new leader of the League of Shadows, and for those of you who don't watch the show, you only listen to our recaps, and you know that sometimes we make up stuff in our recaps, Gordon had the power to fly, or Lucius Fox dressed up as Sophia. You might be thinking, oh, Barbara Keene, leader of the League of Assassins, this is one of those things you made up for the recap, but it's not. And then, Barbara's you League of Assassins suck. So then some girl's you're right, they do suck. So she, kills all of them except for, some girls standing in the back with guns. And it's now we're the new League of Assassins, just the women. To be continued. I want to go with Dawn first, because Dawn posted something on Facebook, earlier, I'm so mad at something I saw today. And I, texted him, LOL, it's Barbara Keene, isn't it? And he's no. And I was oh, God, what's happening? So
you really should start with you two first. I got to close it, because it's going to turn into something.
Let it turn into something, but okay. Well, I mean, I guess which plot line should we start with then, Dawn, to lead into?
No, my whole thing is kind of with a problem with the show at large, and it's. I really think you guys should just give your overall thoughts, and then I'll get to what I want to talk about.
Okay, Jan, you can go first then.
About how I feel about the show, the episode.
Yeah.
God. It's I didn't watch this a couple hours ago. I did like the things I liked. Batman and Catwoman. I'm kidding. Not kidding. Bruce and Selena. I liked the whole thing with. I liked mostly everything that Jerome did, because I don't know, he's so campy, but he's also slightly unpredictable. I say slightly because there's some things like he'll do it, and then I'll just be like, oh yeah, that's totally how he is on this show. And then also he's very, I don't know, he's just very fun, but also scary.
Agreeing with you so far.
That is, it was really hard for me to see that in a Joker. Like when I was watching, hate me if you want to, the Nolanverse, I thought he was like funny, but not very scary. And there are instances in TAS where he kind of bounced back from both, although I found him more like funny than scary. And then, of course, in the comics, he can be like downright straight terrifying. So seeing Cameron in this role and him just straight up owning that list, just I was really enjoying it because I was getting all these emotions from watching him. I did like that they fell back on Scarecrow's chemistry background outside of the whole fear toxin because of his history with his father. Jesus, I have this huge problem with Jervis because he keeps blaming
Homeless
Gordon for his sister's death when she clearly killed herself to get away from him. And Gordon keeps looking so guilty about it. It's like, dude, that literally was not your fault. She decided to kill herself versus having to live with her bro, dude. Let me see. I did seriously love the Bruce and Selena interactions in there. I did like... No, that was it. I didn't like... these are just personal issues. I just didn't like Barbara being... Oh, remember when I told you, like, if you could just see my face right now, at this very moment, as these words are coming out of Horatia's mouth. Oh, God. It's like, you are the demon's head. I was like... I'm putting my fingers very close together. This close to throwing my entire PC through my window.
Whoa!
Yeah, no, it's just... At least Tabitha was, like, on it. She was like, dude... Tabitha was, like, solid this episode.
Tabitha was all of us.
Yeah, it's like, dude, what? You're f***ing crazy. Why are you hesitating?
I
And
miss
then
when
what
I
was the
worked
other
for my
plot
brother's
line?
insane death cult.
It's true. What was the other...
It
Was there another
three
plot line?
lines. It was Jerome and Bruce, Mad Hatter and Homeless Cop, and
Oh
and
God,
Barbara
Bruce
Keene.
was so good this episode. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. There were things that I really liked about Homeless Cop's plotline too. But there are so many parallels between him and Bruce. It's kind of annoying. But Bruce is learning, and it's also annoying that Homeless Cop is still learning after 4 seasons since he's
He has so
grown.
much to learn, apparently.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my...
So, I mentioned in the last episode that, like, because of the way that, like, Fox sends these to us for, like, previews, I saw this before the previous episode had even aired. So, like, I saw this not knowing, like, what was going to happen in the previous episode. So, like, it was really, like, weird at the beginning, like, you know, where Gordon's like, I'm out of the hospital now. I'm like, what happened? And then, like, previously on Gotham. And you see, like, the Sophia headshot. And then, like, you know, like... and Tabitha's like, your hand is still glowing, isn't it, Barbara? And I'm like, man, last week must have been crazy. And I had no clue what happened with Bruce and Selena. So, like, Selena's like, remember, Bruce, we're square for, you know, that thing that you helped me with last week. And I was like, wow, last episode must have been insane. And it was, but, like, you know, surprisingly, it didn't really spoil too much for me, aside from the previous Leon thing with Sophia. Like, because you don't know where Penguin or Riddler or, like, you know, or Lee or some of the key players are. My biggest takeaway of this episode was honestly, like, the Barbara Keene, like, Demon's Head, League of Assassins thing. Like, it took me days to process that. I was like, and I we'll get into that more when we go by like the beat by beat plot line, but like and you guys are going to murder me for what I'm about to say here, but like, usually I have a column like good/bad. I don't love Barbara Keene being the leader of the League of Assassins, but I gotta say, I don't hate it either. I'm like, this is so weird. Like, like I can't bring myself to say I like it, but like, I don't have the heart to hate it either. This is just so weird. This is like, what the heck? Bruce and Selena, another good week with like Davi Mazouz and Karen McNova. I love him like leaning over, like she's like, "Oh, we're gonna kiss," and he like opens the car door, and I was like, "That who does that?" But that was funny. And then
Batman does that.
The two Camerons of the show finally meeting too. Cameron McNova and Cameron Monaghan. Like she's about to shoot him, and Cameron Monaghan says, "Is this the untimely end of Cameron?" What? But I thought I was the only one. A pain I know all too well. This is what it's like when doves cry.
Insert that sound.
Why did we go to doves crying? Why did we go to Prince all of a sudden? I'm so confused.
It's a Simpsons reference.
Is this the untimely end of Millhouse?
But Millhouse is my name.
But I thought I was the only one.
A pain I know all too well.
So this is what it feels like when doves cry.
We said to you a few weeks ago, Jan, like, if you ever want to understand our inside jokes, watch, like, the first 10 seasons of The Simpsons. Like, Don and I are just
way too much TV.
Don and I will make a playlist for you of, like, basically, like, 10 essential Simpson episodes. I think that would be, and you would enjoy that, I think.
Here's the funny thing, guys. I watched the first 5 seasons of The Simpsons uninterrupted when they aired and then stopped. So you guys are like, you need to watch. I'm like, I already watched them. I don't remember. They're not that memorable.
Well, watch them again as an adult when your sensibilities are different. You'll be like, oh, like you're just gonna like be like, this isn't a show. This is just a collection of random quotes that Josh and Don say all the time on the podcast. Like, why are they ripping off things that Josh and Don say like 20 years in the future? But and then the other plot line, the Mad Hatter thing, I never liked Mad Hatter, but like I gotta say, like watching this episode, I was very engaged like the whole time. Between the different like plot lines and stuff, like I was never too bored or angry, just like with my jaw on the floor for the Barbara thing. But otherwise, like I did, feel like this was a solid episode. And now Donovan's gonna tell me why I'm wrong and why the showrunners need to like go in front of a gulag and get shot by a firing squad.
Okay.
I really have no clue. Like Don said, it's something political. So I was like trying to figure out like which part of the show. That's why I was hoping Don would go first. So like I wouldn't like say something to make him double down on his rage. Like, oh, I'm oblivious to things.
I'll start off with how Jan started off. I'll start off with things I did like because those are things I have the least to mention. Everything to do with Jerome in that like diner, including when Bruce and Selena showed up. He just continues to be a very entertaining presence, like to the point where like even like when the Joker is kind of like on the receiving end, he still acts like the Joker. I like when Bruce says "let him go," and he's like, and like when he's like kind of getting choked, he's like "good idea" or whatever. That was good. I kind of liked how the problem was resolved, where like Gordon said like "save yourselves," and everyone kind of. I thought that was actually kind of
save
clever.
Each other.
Save each other.
They can't save themselves.
Yeah, save each other. Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. And I suppose like extends to like Bruce and Selena's scenes before they get to the diner, because I like Bruce saying I have to stop him, I got to put him back in Arkham, and Selena saying like you are so egotistical, because that is a very, once again, that's a very kind of like Batman Catwoman kind of banter that you can see when they're older. And I liked how like that didn't faze them at all. So I was like, yeah, that tracks. Here's the thing. My whole big this is not going to be like this is a new thing that this episode introduced, but like 'cause this is a recurring element that has happened. I've talked about this before on the show, and it doesn't really do anything because it can only go so far, and because it's so consistent that it kind of started burrowing into my viewing experience to the point now where like it festers and it kind of props up and it's never like not there, but like there are times where just like it really kind of exploited my emotions for this episode. It starts off with like this Arkham worker, she's going to talk to Tetch, and she's not listening to his hypnotism, but the other person is, and that person like cuts her in the throat. And then she goes and releases like I guess Jerome and Scarecrow. Before they leave, they make sure that she cuts herself in the throat. And then a big plot line in the end of the first act is this wedding couple, this interracial wedding couple, getting smashed by this wrecking ball, and their corpses are like still there, like for comedic effect in the background throughout much of the episode. And the episode ends with like this truck driver getting scared off by the Scarecrow or whatever. These are all characters or people of color, and this is the point now where I'm seriously offended. I've talked about this before. I got really upset in season 2 when the flamingo like chewed out that woman's throat. But I mean, it is seriously to the point now where like I can't stop talking about this. And I always talk about like what the show doesn't do right in terms of like writing and character consistency. And then I always try to mention, well, the police are pretty up here, or like their treatment of queer characters in season 1 was dubious to say the least, or whatever. It's got to the point now where like I have like half an article written up about how this show kind of fails its premise, because this should be better than this. Because when they first announced Gotham, we all thought of Gotham Central, and despite the fact that Gotham Central was like one of the best comics they ever did, it was a show that's like it was littered with characters of color. It was littered with queer characters. The conduct of the police was an ongoing plot of the show, or plot of the series. Especially with Renee Montoya near the end and how what happened to her. It's like I feel that like this show is kind of like testing the waters and how much it can piss me off, because I don't know how you guys watch the show, and I'm not going to judge you on how you watch the show, but for me, every single time there was like a non-named character introduced, it was always a character of color, and I was like, oh wow, here's another person that works here. Oh, of course she's black. Of course she dies. Oh look, here's some more victims for Jervis Tetch to kill, because he always does that. His first appearance, he murdered an interracial couple. Like every single time someone's on the receiving end of the villains, they're like this kind of throwaway POCs. And like by the time the last guy, of course the last guy didn't die, but like by the time the last guy showed up and he was black and he was accosted by the Scarecrow or whatever, I screamed. This is really bothering me, and it's to the point now where it's like I don't know why this has to be, because of course we like to live in this has happened in terms of like other media. Black Panther just came out, and it's like I understand that this show's main cast of characters kind of take priority, but it's like there's such a weird focus on just how, or I should say, like there's a weird neglect on how other characters are treated in terms of like minority status, that it's consistent and it characterizes this show. It's kind of like the sexism in the original Star Trek show. It's like you can't really go too far without just constantly seeing it for what it is. And no, I've not thought about Gotham consistently like throughout the day as long as I have for today, because this pissed me off so much that even though there are some things I liked about it, this isn't like the worst episode ever. I've kind of had it, and I kind of want to continue my thoughts later on, but it'll be kind of in written content on the Batman universe, however that kind of takes effect.
I made this comment a long time ago. I said like, oh look, it's another, like especially during Jervis's run. You and me were talking about it. I don't know. I just really was upset because every time they were killing somebody, it was like, oh hey, it's a black man and a black woman and a white man. Oh, she's dead. And I kept messaging you, oh, she's dead. And every time there was another black woman killed, I'd be like, oh yeah, she's dead.
Mm-hmm. Again, like I say, it's so consistent now that it really is the show to me. I don't know. It's like why? And people are going to come because there's a Reddit thread of people actually bringing this up. But they say, did anybody notice how many black people get killed in Gotham? And of course, you have the people say, well, white people die too, or whatever. They try to give this idea that like there's diversity in the show because they have people of color existing. But it's all about what is sticking. What is the balance? But it's really beginning to fester, and like it's hard for me to enjoy this show even when it is just cheesily bad. It's kind of like there's kind of this moral deficiency now that like I just can't get past it.
That makes sense.
So, wading through the minefield myself, because the discussion is, a minefield. As a straight white male, I'm going to be like completely, honest and like say that like this is going to sound like Tommy Lahren, but like honestly, like it's something that I honestly never thought about. So like I will take a second look now. And the reason why I say Tommy Lahren is like I feel like I was just like stupidly colorblind to it. I was just noticing people dying, but like because I'm coming from a place as like a straight white male, I wasn't paying attention to like, oh yes, this is a disproportionate amount of black people. And before people write in and say, but white people die too, like because I was thinking as they were saying this, like okay, Balloon Man killed white people, but then like as I was like making the list in my head, I'm like, that's not the point. The point is not that like white people die too. It's that if I'm guessing where Don's coming from here, and Jan to another extent, is that like for every like white person that dies on Gotham, like 5 or 6 black people die. Like most of the red shirts are black. Is that am I correct? And that's what the
for like the longest time, every time there was a random black woman on the show, she ended up dead. It was just done. One and done. She just showed up, next scene, dead.
You have that. Coupled with like the fact that there are just not a lot of long-lasting POC characters, and when there are, they're not there. Like the best I think we have is Lucius Fox. Essen is dead. Renee Montoya is gone.
Alvarez and Harper are like the closest after that.
That's. I wanted to bring that up because we can sing and dance all we want to about Alvarez and Harper and Lucius Fox and other characters who are still there, but like they rarely do anything. And I think that's always kind of like the knee-jerk. And we can enjoy these characters, but like. I think that's a knee-jerk reaction when people say, "Oh, Gotham's not racist." Or not that that's an ongoing conversation, but it's what is sticking. What's the lasting impression of the show? And granted, they have a lot of the main characters just happen to be white, but I feel as though if they're going to have this sort of like POC killing spree, they need to proliferate it enough where like you either have enough characters in the main cast who are POC, or you just don't create this narrative of like. Well, if you're not important, then you die. And look, you just have to... Because it's the same thing with, like, the Narrows that I talk about. It's, like, the idea of, like, the trodden upon people of color, that they need this sort of white savior in Leslie. It's kind of like the thing... It's kind of like the same...
She's Hispanic.
Marina Baccarin?
Yeah, she's from...
Baccarin.
I forget where she's from, but she's from South America.
Like South America? Yeah, I was about to say South American. I think she's Brazilian. I'm not sure.
I thought she was Brazilian.
You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know if I look. And by the way, like just to like add a little asterisk to something that Don is saying for people who are listening, when he says POC, that means people of color, and I'm saying that because people are going to legitimately ask, like, what does he mean? What is POC?
Well, I'll even if we're going to go with this idea that Leslie Tompkins is a person of color by way of who portrays her. I mean, this might seem to be kind of like persnickety, but like how much of that is coded because it still comes across as sort of this white savior narrative. Because you have, because like the last episode you had this Asian family help us as Samson killed these people. So when she had revenge on him at the end, that was seen as justification. Like you have the League of the League of Shadows here be people who are, very brown people who kind of yell at Barbara Keene, and then like you have like the women say, we will now follow you, but they're also like clearly not white. I can't stop seeing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was like what really bothered me the most about that scene. I was like, God, and you're so blonde too because you dyed your hair blonder.
Yeah, no,
it's nothing. That's nothing against Aaron as a person. It's
it's just what the show's doing with Barbara Keene.
Well, it's nothing with the actors because I like as the actors in terms of the performers by and large I like them, and I don't like dogging too much because I feel that like they are always doing the best they can, but it's like the show constantly kind of wants to present this sort of power dynamic that it really enjoys. Which is like, and whether they're aware of it or not, it's like you have the League of Shadows, this very kind of international, almost otherworldly kind of ancient group, but we have to have this like drawn out scene like, oh, Barbara is the demon's head or whatever, and it's like this might be a ploy from Race for later on to kind of bear fruit, but like for right now, we have to give it on faith that she can lead this impressive group full of this international people, and it gives across a narrative that like white makes right, essentially. I know that's not what they're going for, but that's what I am seeing, especially with Tabitha standing right there. Like this is a bad idea, boss. It's like it's
she's backslid.
I've had a problem with this for a while, and there are times where I'm kind of like, okay, well, this is something I gotta kind of roll my eyes with. But like, I think literally every time in this episode, it was always somebody of color. Even if like the police, because even the guy who was like strangling Bruce, I was like, the moment he showed up, I was like, he's dead. Joker's gonna shoot him at any moment now. So I was surprised that like he was kind of let off the hook.
My gosh, when you add it all up, yeah, a lot of people of color died.
2 black women, an Asian woman.
One Asian woman at the beginning. Yeah, I noticed that immediately. I was like, oh, God, she's not going to make it.
And again, it's the indignity of it, because it's like, because Jervis Tetch has this hard on for like kind of finding random people to kind of set up to die, and like they're like mush.
He killed 2 black women in a row, like one in the wedding dress, and then one when he went to the very first episode. He went to that house that was a black woman and a white male.
Yeah.
When did
I never forgot about
when did he get Purple Man powers? Because it's maybe I blocked out season 3, but
no,
like,
he always had it. That was his show. He was a hypnotist.
But he was hypnotizing by voice alone.
Yeah, that's how he did it.
Which is weird.
Oh no, he was doing it with the clock. My bad. He was doing it with the ticking clock.
Because like that woman's like wearing headphones. Like when she comes in as if he's Purple Man, and she's like, "I'm not listening to you, Jervis." And like, I was just confused. He's able just to like talk to somebody, because like, couldn't he have just told homeless cop while they were in the radio booth, like, kill yourself?
He wants him to suffer. He's not going to tell him anything.
It's season 3 was only a year. Usually I remember things about the show really well, but like I really didn't like the Mad Hatter stuff, so maybe a lot of it's just like slipped from my mind. But like, I don't know, they were like presenting as if like his voice alone can do it. Like, I'm like, okay, at least over the radio you could say that like he did something else to put them in a hypnotic state with like some like backwards like music or whatever, then use his voice.
Like I thought that like was he ever like technologically minded to help with the mind control?
He doesn't have to be technologically minded. He just has to be like, he just has to speak. And like, he probably just learned a new technique of hypnotism, because he is a professional hypnotist. When he started, he was just using the watch. What could have happened is he could have like studied other ways as well, but it was just easier with the watch for him to do it. Because he didn't have the watch in Arkham, because they took it away from him.
Like, all Bullock had to do was hear the radio station for 3 seconds before, like, he, like, floated away going, cheese. Like, he was, like, Monterey Jack.
Monterey Jack.
Yes, from Rescue Rangers. Like, cheese. Like,
he was my favorite.
I
mean, he would betray everybody for cheese, but, like, that was just his flaw.
He was always almost getting them killed. It's like, all right, now, like, this like secret like like tunnel that has like laser guarded entrance, and if you like touch the laser it activates the step trap to kill us. Now everyone like walks single file, and then like Zipper would be like oh, and then like see like cheese somewhere, and Monterey Jack would like and they'd like pull on his tail. Like, he was just so trancy. But
leave? Why? We're already halfway there.
In any case, yeah, like Bullock just had to hear like a few seconds of that. Like, so
it wasn't even the part that told him to go up to the thing either.
Well, it's like Bullock had his own message too, because like he was like saying this riddle to Gordon, like down comes the cop, something.
I think that was just for effect. I don't think that was actually like an actual message he was given.
Bullock just decided to say that poem.
Yeah, well, he was under mind control at that point. Like, I should rhyme like Jervis Tetch, yay! And then a little piece of my insides died.
Makes more sense than a lot of other things in the episode. So I'll like, and again, it's been a while. Like, maybe like I'm forgetting an episode where like Strange like put Indian Hill juice on like Jervis Tech, and now he can like hypnotize people with his like voice alone or something. Or
did they ever
I just feel like it. Say what?
Did they ever meet?
No.
I don't think so. No. I was just using that as an example. Like, I just feel like if he had the power to like hypnotize as fast as he did with Bullock and as fast as he did with that other cop in the like Arkham, he would have been able to like he would have had a much easier time like last season with all that stuff that was going down. But there was blood involved too. It was like, I don't know. But before we stray too far from it, I don't want to completely like, leave behind Don's original point if he's not done with it. So did you guys have anything more to add about like the racial aspect of the murders?
I mean, it doesn't. This is a kind of a talking point in any sort of like kind of media subject that isn't. It's as persistent as it is. It's never unique, and I think that like what makes it worth talking about is finding kind of a solution for it. I mean, I think
I'm just gonna. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were done.
Well, I think that like what they could do is kind of just calm down on finding a black person to kill in the background. But like they need to like kind of use what they work with. Like that episode with Lucius against the Riddler was like one of their best episodes because it was it gave characterization to Lucius that was totally welcome and put him in a spotlight in a way which didn't feel contrived. So like I mean they could I mean I've been wanting for them to give Alvarez and Harper more things to do if they're going to be on the show in a continual kind of way. Like have them show up to every case as opposed to just Bullock. And I understand that it's a large cast and some casts need to take priority, but like seriously, I'm always waiting for them to die because they don't really do anything. So they can have sort of it's like with Ivy, they can have the illusion of character interaction when they're not as consistently portrayed as Gordon Bullock. They could have that. They could give Tabitha more things to do. Like this isn't irreversible in how even as far in the fourth season as it is, they can't even with the cast they have to work with that's mainly white, they can come back from this, which makes it so much more frustrating that like I bitched about that Flamingo thing 2 years ago. I was so mad, and like now I'm sitting here and like we're like nearing the end of the fourth season, and I'm still watching this show, and like it's like that was like 3 times that. We're going to say Jan.
Yeah, it's. Oh, go ahead, Jan. Via first.
I would seriously love like Tabitha gets her own sort of like at least storyline, and Alvarez. Like I told you, I wanted like that whole day in the life of Alvarez, and then like Jim comes over for dinner, and they're like, "Oh God, all this shit was true." I thought he was just making excuses not to come home or something.
There really is a homeless cop.
And I have absolutely no investment in Harper. If she died next episode, I wouldn't care. I'm not attached to her. I mean, the only thing that would annoy me is that she was black and she died, which is really terrible. But she literally does
But they can have her something.
They gave me nothing to hold on to with her, other than her just randomly being there and being a victim and duped every 2 seconds. But the thing that I was going to say was not to detract from Don's outrage at this show being like this, but this is literally the reason I stopped watching Supernatural and the reason I stopped watching a lot of shows that were primarily white. Mm-hmm. Like I wasn't even sure I was going to watch Riverdale because they're supposed to be white. Like you have Reggie and he's like not even there, and he's like a main character in the comic book, but he's Asian.
Yeah,
and they just focus on all the white people.
Of Reggie right now, we're on Reggie number 2.
Well, that's because the first guy left for a better job.
And Joseph and the Pussycats are all black, but like we hardly see the other one, the other 2.
And then the only person that's a person of color that you really get a good look at is Veronica. Thank God. What else was I going to say? Who else was there? And then the black kid was a rapist.
Yeah, Chuck.
Yeah, and they tortured him.
Yeah.
Well, that's in a hot tub. Well, I was thinking about a lot of the CW shows because we have Black Lightning now, which I need to catch up on. The Flash is like wonderfully diverse. They changed those characters from when they were in the comics, but like all for the better. You have Supergirl, which I've not watched a lot since, but like it was fairly diverse. Like this is not irreversible, and Oh god.
Yeah, they just swap out redheads for black people because black people are the redheads of society.
Well, you brought up Supernatural. The last episode I watched was Supernatural. They brought on this like no name kind of cheeky young Asian angel character, and she was kind of cute, and she kind of had like kind of a personality, and was interacting with Cassiel, and like I just like knew that she was like toast before the end of the second act, and she was, and it's like I want to like this show, but like it's just as bad as Gotham with that.
No, they're like they just kill off all the black people in that show. And they said, "How about this one episode where the black girl survived?" And I was all like, "That one episode 5 seasons ago."
Yeah, let's kill off Felicia Day and dump her body in a tub. Like, I mean, people. Anybody out there who's listening to this who just think that like, oh, this is something that like black people get cranky about every now and then. Like, imagine like just seeing people who ideally would portray representation, either in a very minor role where they're lucky to have a scene of dialogue, or they're killed off constantly. Like it produces a really corrosive effect on not so much I won't say my self-esteem, but just like my feelings in terms of because I love Batman, so like that's not why I'm watching the show. But like it's like what is there for me when I don't have characters to like either identify with or believe in with a homeless cop. Like
also it just kind of gives you a feeling that your people who look like you and possibly share your values, like even though like a lot of them have very non-stereotypical roles in the show, they're just doing their thing day to day, and then all of a sudden they're just disposable. Like we can just kill these people, it's not really that big of a deal. That's the kind of message you get from that, and it's very demoralizing.
Well, I mean, and you mentioned Alvarez earlier. Half of the joke with Alvarez is like we're so happy when he shows up because like that's just it. Like him showing up is a big deal because he never shows up. Like all he has to do, like his criteria to make us happy is to like have one line of dialogue. We're like, hey, they used Alvarez this week. He got to like write something on a notebook, pad, and paper.
He's still alive. Oh my god!
And this is a much larger conversation that like it's almost more appropriate for like the show that Donovan does with Harry. Questions we have no answers, which you should all listen to. But
thank you.
It's oh yeah, well it's as a straight white male, this is something that I don't think about. And then some people who listen to this and they're probably doing the same thing I did, like thinking, well, this white person died this, and then again I had to remind myself that's not the point. Like it's that for every white person that dies, it's so many more black people. And when Don like I said, I was kind of, Tommy Lahren colorblinded, but when Don pointed out to me this episode, just how many black people did. And then like, when like Jerome's, like circus bodyguard, guy attacked him and Don was like, oh, another black person died. And he did. I was like, yeah, that's a really good point. And a lot of people think that, and again, this is why I say it's another discussion that's more appropriate, like somewhere else almost, because it's a very, very like, nuanced issue, but I'm gonna bring up white privilege because a lot of people misunderstand what white privilege is. A lot of people, when they hear the word white privilege, they think it means that they did something wrong, like, or that it means that like you're white and you have all these. White privilege doesn't mean that like you did something wrong. It just means that like there are certain experiences that you don't have to endure because of your color. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have a hard life. You could be white and have white privilege and still have a hard life financially, like still fall into the same patterns. But the point is, like, when you're black, you're more susceptible to those things. And a few months ago, at the DC and DC 2018 event, when they were talking about all that race stuff, Ben and I are sitting down and we're watching Black Lightning. And I talked about this on one of the podcast things, but we got up to that scene from the pilot with like him and the police, and him and I had a discussion about like, that's one thing about unfortunately being black and still 2018. That's something that happens, like, and that's where the whole white privilege thing comes in, because that's something that you and I, don't have to think about on a regular basis, getting stopped by the cops and getting, in trouble. Unless you're me, like 2 summers ago. But that's,
Stephon
a story
Clark
that was
shot,
also
like last week. Like this is it's still happening.
Yeah, and that's another plug for questions we have no answers. Because if you want to know what I was talking about with the cops, then listen to my episode of Questions We Have No Answers.
Questions we don't have answers, because Harry actually got
Sorry.
one wrong.
But in any case,
heavy.
we did. But and I really hope that the listeners don't just have knee-jerk reactions to this. Like, listen to what we're saying. And honestly, you know what? If you disagree with us, put something in the comment section of the episode. I mean, we'll read it, we'll discuss it, to a degree. We're not going to spend like half an hour on it each week unless like in the next episode, like, Jerome executes like 50 people of color, then yeah, we're going to be talking about this next week. Like, but I mean, honestly, like, I think I speak for Don and Jan when I say that, like, yes, like, give us your viewpoint, even if it's a viewpoint that like disagrees with ours, like, this is how we learn, by having a conversation, about it, by hearing each other's viewpoints. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I
mean, in this instance, we're right, but like because this is not one of those, everyone's opinion is valid. No. This is a thing that happens with this show. But like, if you don't understand how we're coming from, we'll just try to make it clearer for you. Although I think this one's a pretty strong example.
I just feel the need to say to Josh, you keep saying like as a straight white male, and I mean, I get it. You don't have to think about these things. It's not something that I'm upset at people. I don't get upset when people don't think about these things. It's honestly not something you have to think about. It's not something you are faced with day to day. So I just want to put that out there. I'm not angry at like every person ever.
No, I don't think either of you are. It's just like, and the whole thing about me not having to think about it, it's illustrated in that, like, yeah, the thought didn't cross my mind until Don like laid it out for me with like the circus guy coming in. I was like, okay, damn, he's right. Because by then it was like person after person. Like, and to bring up something that Don said at the beginning of the conversation too about Gotham Central, just to like kind of close out the topic too, he mentioned like Renee Montoya. You know what? Like, her being written off of the show, which I still mention like on an almost weekly basis, her and like Alan, that is one of the like, biggest sins of the show, because honestly, if you're doing a show about the police, Renee Montoya is a very, very nuanced, like multi-layered character from the comics. Like, she's a lesbian on the police force, and the police force is obviously, like a very, very like anti-gay place to work, and she had to deal with that in Gotham Central.
And she's Latina.
She's also, she's Latina. Like, and she has an alcohol problem. Like, that's like, she could almost be the main character of her own show. Like, so if you have her as a supporting character, like, and like we spend less time on Ben McKenzie's love life once in a while, like, so that like, we can have like an episode about like Montoya, that would be interesting. In fact, like, they didn't kill her off. It's not too late, like, Don and I have joked that like the Gotham writers have like our phone lines bugged and are listening to this podcast. So if you are listening, it's not too late to bring her back. Make her a regular in season 5.
Please.
Especially now that Gordon's captain, like, she can be working under him and there could be some conflict there. And obviously, like, you have so many storyline potentials, especially with like her history with Barbara, like.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't want them to bring her back just so she can be subservient to whatever stupid idea they have for Barbara next season.
Well, but
and
Barbara
also
wouldn't have to define her storyline. It's just like, it would just be one more part of her that, like, if she's ever in a situation where she has to be antagonistic to something that Barbara's plot is, there'd be that extra layer of history to make it more personal there, if that makes sense.
What were we going to say, Jan?
Oh, yeah, it would also be like whatever stupid idea that Jim has, too.
Here's the new uniform policy. Those are bikinis, homeless cop.
Tiny mini skirts.
Schoolgirl outfits.
Do we have any more
have you
thoughts
not
about
seen Full Metal Alchemist?
No,
that's what Roy said he was going to do. He's like, when I'm general, women will have to wear tiny mini skirts.
I've not yet watched FMA, but I'm done with this talking point.
Yeah, are we done with Mad Hatter's plotline in general, or do we have any like more thoughts on that part?
That character kiss my ass.
Did we even do Mad Hatter's? I just thought we just did like her opening comments.
We talked about Peter Petrelli. We talked about his Purple Man power.
I think that got mixed in with all that other stuff, though.
It did, but it's part of. If you have more to say about Mad Hatter, Layla, let's go.
I hate him. Okay, let's continue.
Okay. I said all I had to say about Mad Hatter in the recap, and in this thing. The only other thing I have to say is we've talked about on the show how people hate hands. Like hands are getting chopped off, hands are getting beat with hammers. In this episode,
hand got shot.
It's out of my hands. You mean this hand? Like
later on, Gordon says I should be in jail. I'm like, yeah, this very episode.
I cannot.
Yeah. So the other big plot line, I would say, well, actually, all the plot lines were big, but I would say the biggest talking point, at least for me, of this episode, Barbara freaking Keene. Are you kidding me? This is the woman who, in Batman Year One, was barefoot and pregnant. Oh, Jim, I hope you make it out of this hostage situation alive. This is the woman who in the golden age was oh, Jim, you must drive me to Martha's house. As she is smoking cigars on the couch with Batman saying another glass of wine, Finley. This woman who Alyssa, was saying your mom's baking cupcakes, Barbara Gordon, and Gordon Barbara Gordon, whatever she called her in Gail Simone's Batgirl run. This woman, are you kidding me? This, and again, you're gonna hate me, but I don't hate this. I don't love it either. But I'm just I don't know. But I'm this is weird, and this is we've had this weird relationship with Barbara Keene on the podcast since day one. Make no question of it. Between that Alan Burnett research, between Barbara the Frog, between all of our Barbara Keene jokes, and here we are in season 4, and she's the heir to the Ra's al Ghul, organization, and she has a magic glowing hand that leads the League of Assassins. I was bursting at the seams when I saw this, but because it was a promotional copy, I couldn't say anything in public. But oh my gosh, I'll
it's
read
killing
it.
you.
I'll read the
Literally.
I'm coughing. I've been fighting something this week. You probably heard me coughing on the other episode too, but let's say I'll let you guys react first before I read the reactions from our supporting cast of characters who I texted this to.
What?
I texted Dustin. I texted Stella. I texted Ben. Everyone.
No, that's my reaction. What?
Oh, okay.
He leaned in. He's like, "You are the demon's head," and I messaged you with, if you could only see the look on my face right now, the look that I am making as these words are coming out of Ra's al Ghul's mouth into my ears. What?
When you first let me on to the context of this episode and came to her scene, Josh, I was mad. I wasn't real world offended mad, but I was about as pissed off as I want to be with this show. And there's a scene I'm the demon's head, and you sons of bitches are gonna listen to me. It was it was.
The look. That's when I did the face. But she said yeah, sons of bitches are gonna listen. I was like, this is how you do this. This dialogue could have been better.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my god.
That was kind of honestly that was a really weak scene, because she as a character and honestly as an actress, she didn't really give a scary vibe. So it's more kind of the show liking Barbara Keene more than certainly I do. So when that happens, I just feel like Gotham, what have you done?
Yeah. It's just it was. I was more interested in the leader of the ladies of the League of Assassins than I was in her. I was like, give me more of that girl. She's way more interesting.
I was really hoping that they weren't going to say her name was Cassandra, otherwise I never would have seen Dawn again. Like,
You really wouldn't.
Yeah, no, Don would have just stopped. He would have just launched him, put himself in a rocket and launched himself to Mars or something.
he would have been like, "You and Jen are on your own. Like, have fun doing the show, losers." Like,
I would have changed my name and dropped off the face of the world.
And I was like, "Is that Nissa? Is that maybe that's Talia?" But I guess they said her name's Lila. Or
Well, that's the
something,
thing, because the idea of a all women sect of the League of Shadows, whatever, is new. I don't remember reading it before, but it's not as though Barbara Keene's the first major. You have Nissa and Talia.
Barbara Keene's leading the League of Assassins.
Those Greg Rucka characters. Was it like a Asp or somebody? It was like a male and female duo from I don't remember this very well, but I mean, do we think that Raish is serious, or is he just trolling me and us and the show by saying, "Oh, you're the leader now"? Because it doesn't make any sense how this quippy nightclub owner could be strong enough and underestimated enough to be the League of Assassins.
She owned an art gallery that she never talked about.
Yes, whatever happened to that thing?
Well, they never even talked about it on the show. It was just if you in the show's press releases and interviews, they'd be like, "Oh yes, she owns an art gallery," which figured into the plot. Let me think. Never.
It's the important questions we ask on this show.
It's. Oh,
that at least explains why he was still filming.
What do you mean? What?
Because you were like, well, he's coming back. He's still filming. It's so that.
Oh, Alexander Siddiq.
Oh, I mean, he's definitely coming back. He's Ra's al Ghul. He's known for coming back from the dead. I don't know how they're going to do it. I'm guessing Barbara will be involved in it, but they didn't contract him to be a series regular just so he can appear in flashbacks for the rest of the season.
I don't know.
It's and they did a table read. Well, they're done filming now, but they did a table read for the season finale. And the cast did all took a group photo, and Alexander was there with everyone else. So, I mean, he's at least going to play into the season finale. Hopefully, it's not just in flashback form. I mean, I don't know if he and Barbara Keene are Ronnie Raymond Firestorm, or something. Because there was that weird thing where she was
his floating head telling her what to do.
Remember, Barbara, use the monkey's paw. You got it, Ross.
Oh man.
Oh, God.
You know what?
That would be god awful.
The show's done crazier things, but you know what? I can't say that because no, they haven't.
Yeah, no. That would be a bridge too far. There's a floating Alexander Siddiq head the size of a boulder following her around as she flies with her hair on fire.
I didn't say she could fly.
I have no idea what you guys are even talking about.
There's a character in DC Comics who has it's two people inhabiting one body.
Firestorm?
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah, he was in
he's in Flash.
Earth 2.
Yeah.
No, yeah, he was in Earth 2.
Earth 2 what? What is that?
Earth 2 from you have Earth and then you have Earth.
Yeah, but
I mean he's an Earth 1 character, but are you talking about the Earth 2 series or?
Yeah.
Oh, the comics.
Okay,
yeah.
Either way, I did think it was weak sauce that the League of Assassins, they have all this martial arts and sword, but then they get taken out by guns that the females in the back are using. The League of Shadows doesn't use guns. That's cheap.
Well, even the guy that she kills is I was getting ready to say bullshit, but I was predicting the counter punch of Jan explaining that away. I don't know if Barbara's been trained or not, but apparently.
Yeah, she was.
Ross did train her, because I remember when Ben and I did that press room at Comic-Con and we went to go meet you. We're Ra's al Ghul is going to train Barbara Keene in martial arts this season, and you were like, "What?"
So she's
no. There was that whole thing too, where when you first see them together, he sneaks up on her, and she puts a knife to his throat or something, and you were like, "What?"
So she's hypothetically the best fighter in the show.
Yeah, basically.
I mean,
he trained her after he
not that she
brought
ever
her back.
shows it.
Well, she doesn't have to. She can just walk in with Thai food and shoot people.
I guess. I mean, or maybe I don't know. Let me.
It's just going to make me start drinking.
I'm surprised you haven't started already.
Started what?
Drinking.
Oh, okay. I'm going to find our supporting cast, reactions to this. People who have been on the podcast in the past. Let's see. I'm scrolling up to. I sent Stella the clip of her saying, "Listen up, you sons of bitches. I am the League of Shadows, and you're all gonna listen to me and bow down."
Yeah, that whole bow down thing. I counted my head and was like, "This is the line of dialogue you went with."
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I texted Stella, "Guess who the new leader of the League of Assassins is?" And she texts back, "Cass." And then I send the clip from the episode, and she says, "Oh, that garbage. I thought you meant something serious." And then she says,
legit reaction, though.
And then she says, "Oh dear," and then she puts in big letters, "And all you sons of bitches better bow down." And then I said, "She's no longer a frog." And then Stella says, "That's too bad, ... And
God, the frog thing. That's
yeah, we are so far removed from Barbara, you're a frog that never leaves her apartment, guys. Oh, now she's leading the League of Assassins. And Tabitha very as a matter of factly says, "Your old boyfriend sure left you with this old boyfriend." You mean Ra's al Ghul, the demon's freaking head from the Tenny O'Neill run? Her old boyfriend? Don't say that Ra's al Ghul's her boyfriend as if it's nothing.
Yeah, exactly. This whole casual, what we care about is the relationships. It's yeah.
All right, I'm scrolling through my text with Ben. Let's see. I'm saving Dustin's for last because his was by far the best one. Okay, I say, "Guess who the new leader of the League of Assassins is?" And he says, "Bruce, Dick, Tim, Robin." Sorry, can't remember the right now Robin's name, but it's him.
The right now Robin.
The right now Robin. And then he remembered Damien is Zad's name. Then I sent him the clip, and he says, and then he asked me a Minecraft question, and he says, "Oh, I thought you were talking about comics, not the Gotham."
Everyone, why are you sending me this?
Stop sending me this stuff. Okay. And now, the best for last. I got to go to Twitter for this one, because this was a Twitter, DM. Dustin always reacts to this stuff so. I even texted Martine's actor again. I sent Dustin the clip, and I said, "Barbara is the new leader of the League of Shadows." And Dustin types, "Seriously, ... WTF in big letters." And then I said, "This is the same character in season 1 who wouldn't leave her apartment." And Dustin texts, "What is with the glowing hand? Did someone think that the demon's head was Iron Fist?"
I thought of Iron Fist too. Jan and I's favorite show.
And then
whenever you say that, I die a little bit on the inside.
So after that, I invited Dustin to come on with us tonight, but he was too busy. But I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have to hear Dustin talk about Barbara Keane's glowing hand." But he said that he definitely wants to come on for the season finale, so I'm sure that
beautiful. I love him.
I know. So we can mention Balloon Man for 20 minutes.
Yes, we'll just have a discussion about I don't think the show's very realistic. Well, let's go back to season 1, episode 3, Balloon Man.
Balloon Man.
That's when the real
Balloon Man be behind everything in the season finale. I don't even remember if he died or not. Did he die or just? I think
he died.
He died. He got carried away by a balloon and no, he did go to jail because he was getting no, he got shot.
Hugo Strange will bring him back. Which, that's another thing. My friend Lindsay, who's watching the show, she, sent me a text today, Doctor Strange is really weird. And I was like, haha, yeah, him and Peabody.
If by weird you mean awesome.
He is the best thing to ever happen to that show.
Even better than Barbara Keane's glowing hand of power?
I say that fully knowing that Jerome exists.
Yes.
I love Jerome, but,
I seriously, I want to go back in time to 2014, and I say this almost every week, but I want to go back in time to 2014 when we're will Barbara ever leave the house? And, show that clip, she's going to have a magic glowing hand because her boyfriend's Ra's al Ghul and lead the League of Shadows.
I would have killed the podcast because I would have left right there and then.
Same. I would have left as well, even though I wasn't on it yet.
I'm gonna ask Ben McKenzie and Aaron Richards the same question that like they were asked at because I asked Aaron Richards at Comic-Con this last year, like, you know, you don't think that like you're still gonna be Barbara Gordon's mom, do you? And I thought she would say like, no, probably not. She's like, I don't know. I think there's still a chance. And like, I'm gonna ask her that again.
With your really bad female British voice.
Yes, my really bad female British voice. But like, I'm gonna ask her again.
Dialect.
And if they still think there's a chance, I'm going to like ask a follow-up question. How at this point? To which she'll probably say, homeless cop has stuck his dick in weirder things, and I'll say, fair point. Like, wait, how do you know that I call him homeless cop? And then like she runs, gotta go. I knew it.
Ben!
I knew it.
Homeless Ben. Pantsless Ben McKenzie.
Okay, so to go from that crazy, weird, like, you know, I don't know, like one with actually good actors. My minus one scene that I thought wasn't acted well, which we'll get into, like Cameron B. Condova and Davi Mazouz. I mean, it's I'm gonna be repeating what I said like the last episode, which is like those two I could watch an episode where they're just locked in a bank vault together, you know,
Yes.
and like that's the entire episode and they interact and it would work. Like you go back to season 1 where they were throwing muffins at each other in Wayne Manor and like their relationship now and like it has grown along with them, like just like the more seriousness of it. And I love her calling him on the shit. I love how like they each bring out each other's humanity in a way. It was nice. And I love Jerome's whole like, you know what would be funny if you save me and I kill you. No. Or I kill the guy who you saved to kill me. No. That's yeah. Let's go with that.
That was a great
that
Joker
was
bit
good.
where like he decided I'll just let him strangle you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jerome's mission, like what he's looking for, like that's kind of been spoiled, like not by like one particular source, but basically like it's kind of been like a jigsaw puzzle where like one interview reveals like one piece of the puzzle.
The secret of
like,
Falcone's gold.
The Fox press release reveals another thing, so like it's out there what he's looking for. I don't know if you want it to be said or not though, so
Nope.
I won't say it unless you two do.
Nope.
Okay.
I honestly
Alright.
don't follow anything outside of the show other than what you tell me.
Yeah.
I don't follow the fandom because fandoms honestly scare me. After having experienced the Harry Potter fandom and also the Supernatural fandom and very recently the Undertale fandom, I just don't do fandoms. Unless I'm just talking with like one or two people that that I know aren't crazy, which sounds terrible. I'm calling people crazy, but I just don't want to be attacked for like if I don't ship what's his name?
Nick Mopplepod?
Like Harper and like the Executioner, even though they've never met. How dare you? Sort of deal. So.
I follow the fandom more this year than I have in any of the previous seasons, like, because I didn't used to look at that stuff, and as a result, I was more in the dark about things, and I just kind of would experience the show on a week-to-week basis, but, like...
I feel that's how you experience it in its purest form, without other people, like...
This year, with, like, doing all these interviews with the cast, and, like, going on these, like, trips and all these panels, like, it's kind of, like, put me more in the line of, like, the news, so, like, I'm more in touch now than I have been the last few years. So
I love that your Facebook profile picture is you and Ben McKenzie like side by side.
Well, Ben McKenzie is his life now.
That is true.
I put on Facebook like right before that interview I said I'm about to get together with my 4th favorite Ben ever. Like he's my 4th favorite Ben.
After Ben Riley, Benjamin Franklin, and Ben McKenzie.
Benjamin Franklin.
Well, it's there's I have a cousin named Ben, so he's naturally in the top 3 because he's my cousin. And then there's our pal Ben on the podcast. And then there's a Ben who lives nearby here who I actually babysat when he was like 10 years old. He's 19 now, you know. So like, yeah, we're all old.
Speaking of fandoms, I just remember this. This is awful. Like the Steven Universe fandom, like chased a storyboard artist away because she shipped 2 characters that they didn't like her shipping. That was a black day in online appreciation of the show.
That's
But
why
yeah,
I don't go
Bruce-
anywhere near that fandom.
I roll on
Bruce and Selena. That scene where Bruce is like with Harper and Selena's like sneaking in the thing. Like, I didn't like Bruce's whole like pretending to be like, oh, I'm so scared Harper thing, because I didn't buy it from him, because this is the Bruce Wayne who like pretended to get his fingers chopped off to fool Silver St. Cloud. This is the Bruce Wayne that did like, bratty Bruce at that like auction and stuff. Like, we've seen that he's a good actor before, that he can like fool people. And,
You're
like,
criticizing the character's performance.
I'm criticizing not the actor's performance, because I'm sure David Mazouz was just doing what the script and the director told him to do. But it was like, we know that Bruce Wayne at this point can pull off a better charade than the one he gave Harper, which Harper bought anyway, because she's new to the show.
Well, I think that like it was an interesting kind of. I liked him. I like the fact that now his. I'm in so much better spirits now. I like the fact that he has the Playboy Bruce Wayne in his arsenal. So the first thing's like, he thought of Kat. Like, he wasn't being genuine really with her ever. And she's like, "What? That's a bribe? No way." He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not talking to Tommy Ellen anymore." So like, he's like, "Oh, I'm just so scared." And then like, honestly, I forget why Selena was there. What was she getting from out of Gordon's desk?
Jerome's file.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Gotcha. But it was an interesting scene. I like the scene of them in the car, but I've already said that.
Oh God, when he leaned over and he opened the door, I was ready to throat punch him. I was like, how dare you bait me like this?
Someone's gonna get you out of those clothes and into a nice dress.
We call that a ship tease.
God, even Selena was like, she was ready.
Well,
And then he opened the door and she's like, oh.
She's like, I could reach the handle on my own, right?
Well, when they were on the
But it's
floor
more fun this
in the diner, like there was definitely
Yes.
like, sparks flying.
That was like some straight up Batman Returns shit right there.
She licks his face.
God. I mean, they're still babies, but I'm just like so invested in their relationship. It's like stupid.
In terms of chemistry on the show, the two like best pieces of chemistry are like David Mazouz and Sean Pertwee, and David Mazouz and Cameron Beacon-Dova. Like, both of those
with Gordon
combinations,
and Bullock
like,
in third.
Say what?
Gordon and Bullock have good chemistry.
They do, but like I prefer those other two duos. Well,
Because David Mazouz like the best.
watch like a
actor
Gordon
in
and Bullock scene and think, my gosh, this chemistry is so great. Especially because like their relationship has been so inconsistent, Gordon and Bullock, with like Who Starts What World.
Well, that's something I
also-
was going to bring up. Like, I feel that like here, it's kind of come full circle to where now I don't predict him to have any problems for the rest of the series, however long that is. Like when he said, "I'm ready to take orders," and like I knew that like I'd be safe because Jim Gordon was there. I feel that like their relationship has gone as far as it has to. There's no more like a.
And you.
There's no more like this is the relationship they'll have when Bruce Wayne Batman is around. Like this is this kind of friendship.
Bullock is subservient to Gordon, and you notice it's Bullock who did like the risky thing this time instead of Gordon. It's usually like Gordon, like I'm gonna run in with no guns. Like this time it's Bullock, like I'm gonna let myself get hypnotized.
And I feel like that was more to be that guy. That's what you would see more of Bullock being the sort of kind of shotgun bull in a china shop kind of guy who does a reckless thing, and Gordon does something a little bit more intelligent as opposed to the
like
opposite.
shooting
That'd be
at Heather's
great.
hand.
Yeah, Bullock has been like way smarter than Gordon on a lot of occasions, which was really weird to me.
It is depressing.
And by the way, I love how when you first see Bruce and Selena this episode, they're walking into the GCPD together, like basically like, okay, like we're ready for action now. Like they're in their like, like superhero costumes, and like their body language is like, like they're ready. They're like, they've grown so much, and they still got more to do. So it's I like that, and like everyone else said, I liked the Jerome stuff, and we finally get the first meeting of Catwoman and the Joker, not Joker character.
Oh God, so good though.
And they treated it like kind of with import too. It was like Selena.
Selena.
Yeah, it was interesting, especially because I don't think we've seen that Hardly. Yeah, I mean, we've seen it. Well, have we even seen it in the animated series? I guess not. Not that the
Who
Joker.
hasn't seen the animated series?
Well, I mean, I don't know how often Joker and Catwoman have interacted because we're in the comics.
Almost got him.
Almost got him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That episode where the plot depended upon it.
I hit him with a rock.
It was a big rock.
He's gonna turn into cat food.
My favorite thing is that it turned out to be like they bought it and it was just Bruce and a killer croc. Like I hit him with a really like.
Yeah, Batman insulting.
Just picturing Batman saying, "I hit him with a really big rock." It's like hilarious.
What if we get that next season? It's everyone talking about how they've almost gotten homeless cop, like
oh, that would be so dumb.
Penguin's playing cards with like the 9th Poison Ivy and and Barbara Keene and and Mad Hatter and all these other tell me about the time you almost killed homeless cop and I don't know, it would be like Gordon's dressed up as Solomon Grundy for some reason Grundy hit homeless cop with rock. It was big rock, and then the lights go out, and
I wouldn't even be mad. That's how
Grundy's
sad that
eyes
is.
look like Ben McKenzie's eyes for a second.
Be a little. I would be annoyed.
I would not even be mad. Just feel like I can't with the show. They've run out of ideas. Now they're just ganking straight up.
Clearly, they are.
Why is Tabitha trying to turn Lee into cat food? Lee has nothing to do with cats. It makes no sense.
Well, I liked at the end. There are a lot of things I wish I could enjoy this episode, but I can't. I liked at the end Gordon Bullock, furthering the completion of their friendship, burgeoning further into love, and Bullock's let's have this drink. There are no heroes in Gotham, and it's like that Wayne kid is on is on the phone for you. So you hear Bruce Wayne kind of just shotgunning it towards going after the Joker essentially. I was like, God damn it! Like there are moments of inspiration with this series. There really are.
Yeah, it's so good.
Gordon's gonna have to know that Bruce is Batman if he's pulling shit like this when he's a teenager. I'm going after Jerome. Don't try and stop
I think
me.
he is.
Well, in this case, it kind of makes sense because he's like, "Oh, it's my responsibility." If he says later, "No, this guy is my responsibility," in costume, if he slips up that way and homeless cop doesn't get it, then literally the worst detective in the world.
He also pulled a Batman on Harper. He did the disappearance.
Yeah, there's also precedent because everyone on Smallville saw Clark do this stuff until the end of the series where every single person knew that he was Superman.
Well, I mean Luthor lost his memory, so there was that. it was clone.
Everyone in Gotham loses their memory because of
Selena will know,
Tess
Gordon
Mercer.
will know. And Lucius probably will know.
Gordon could basically wink to the camera. Well, not exactly wink, but play it as if I don't know who this Batman is. But then we get a sense that maybe he does know who he is or something Year One style. So
it would be funny if he didn't know, like Neil Hamilton in the '60s show.
He's absolutely clueless. Batman leaves and then Bruce comes in. Hey everyone, what I missed? Bruce, you just missed Batman. How does this keep on happening? My God, every time Batman comes, and then he leaves, you just come in a second later. Why do you always miss the awesome stuff? I feel so bad for you.
And Bruce shut up. Well, it's like that scene
you
from the
two would
'60s
really
show.
get along. You two should both come to dinner at my house, tonight. Do you even have a home? Hey, I'm asking the questions here.
It's like that scene from the '60s show where Gordon has Adam West and Batman on the phone at the same time, and there's no Adam West never changed his voice for Batman. So it's so I think he even says two great men, so similar yet so different at the same. It's just how dumb is this guy?
Do we have any more thoughts about this episode before we get into next week?
We talked about. Did you guys have any thoughts on Scarecrow? I didn't. I know I said something about him at the opening, but you guys haven't talked to him at all. I mean, it's a very small role, but
I didn't get this.
Yeah, I mean, just he was recast again.
You know what?
Or I say again, it's his first time.
If I did not know he was recast, I would not be able to tell because he sounded kind of similar or the same compared to how he was when he was wearing the mask last time. I kind of wish they did this sort of kind of goofy.
he's also in a bag, so
I kind of wish they did the goofy looking light in his eyes face because that was so stupid that was funny to me. So they didn't do that. But I mean I have nothing. I'm neutral because he didn't do much in this episode.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I don't have any thoughts on Scarecrow.
Like I said earlier, I just really like that they fell back on his chemistry because he burnt through the thing, and then also he had his fear toxin back, which was nice. Oh, and I thought it was cute that he tried to rhyme.
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I know. Mad Hatter was all about that. Blah. But
yeah, when they broke him out of the thing, and he tried to make like a rhyme, and then Mad Hatter was like, "That really sucked, but at least you tried."
Okay.
But he said it in like rhyme.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, they were being playful with each other, which was nice. I do like, just kind of like I don't like Headhunter and I like Zaz. It's kind of like they have like this. All three of them are very fun characters when placed together, and Jervis doesn't actually speak or breathe or exist. But like how other people interact with him is nice. You know, when they're not homeless cops or cops in general.
Homeless cops.
But I like when villains interact with each other because it's fun to see how they're clearly, like when Jervis said we have plenty of time to stab each other in the back later, because that's real.
Yeah.
They don't trust each other, and until they all get what they want, until they have like a nice secure place to strike from, they're not going to backstab each other is basically what I heard there. So you know that they're going to be together for a bit, and you know that it's going to be big because Jervis was like a whole full season villain, and then you had Jerome every time he shows up, like maybe two episodes tops, and it's like an insane ride. And then of course you have Scarecrow, who hasn't had the same amount of exposure, but you know, like his it's Scarecrow, man. Every time I love Scarecrow. He's one of my favorite villains ever, and I'm just really happy that he wasn't like obnoxious. And I know that when he showed up, the first Scarecrow was like his dad, basically. But if you're a horror fan like me, guys, and you have actually seen Warlock 1 and 2, and I think there's a third one, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen it. You know who Julian Sands is, and you know that he is like an amazing villain. The fact that he was more like sympathetic in this versus like being pure, unadulterated, like evil in the movies, it was really nice. And that he also gave birth to Scarecrow. I really like that, but that's mostly probably because I read The Dark Knight in the New 52, and I really liked what they did with that there.
That's interesting stuff. I remember that storyline.
Yeah.
That was one of my 3 soups. Next week's episode is called, I just had it up, Mandatory Brunch Meeting. Gordon and Bullock try to stay one step ahead as Jerome zeroes in on his next target. Meanwhile, Nigma hosts a riddle game show in the Narrows and faces his toughest challenger in Lee Tompkins. And Penguin goes to see Butch with a proposal in the all-new A Dark Knight Mandatory Brunch Meeting. Guest star list is David W. Thompson as Scarecrow, Benedict Samuel as Jervis Tech, Cameron Monaghan as Jerome Valeska, Michelle Ventimiglia as Firefly. Oh, I thought Firefly... Oh, yeah, that's right. I was like, wait, didn't she... Because I think she was.
She didn't die. She was just kind of like knocked unconscious.
No, but I thought that like Michelle was the original Firefly actress, but they replaced her. But no, I'm mixing up. But like this Firefly is leaving the show and is getting like recast though. Like I have heard that, but because she's badly burned and she wears a mask, it doesn't matter. Nathan Darrow as Mr. Freeze and Stephen Hawke as Headmaster. And we don't have a promo for that right now just because of the date when we're recording, so just synopsis. Yeah, so any reactions to that synopsis or guesses? Or I'm interested in, like, Lee Nigma stuff as long as they don't become a couple. Cut to, like, next week where she's like, oh, Nigma!
I want to ask something that, as a final thought for... Because I don't know if we mentioned last night, but, like, Davi Mazao's tweeted, you know, we're done with the season. And if this is the end of the show, then I'll carry it in my heart forever. And we immediately say, well, that doesn't mean the show's canceled. That doesn't mean it's ending. You know, they're not going to come back yet. But if this is, hypothetically speaking, and I'm not trying to put across the idea that like it is, but like seriously, like if this is the end of the season, I'm wondering because they're ramping up the Joker. Ra's al Ghul is probably the biggest villain he could probably face in his Rogues Gallery, and we said he's acting more like Batman. Like I mean, like in terms of storyline, do you think this could be the end of the show? Because like you know like Gordon's captain, like you know, a lot of things have feel that like they fall into place to where. You know, I know I say this angrily, but like, where else would they have to go after this?
I think that they're planning for a season 5, and I think that the chances are really good. I think that like the worst case scenario is honestly Fox saying, you know what, like we're not giving you a season 5 after all. But if that happens, I think that either the CW will pick it up or Warner Brothers will put it on its streaming service to basically finish out the show for a final season. But there was a Fox executive who recently said that like. He wants to do the show. He actually said for a few more seasons, like he used seasons plural. He says that the issue is that like they can't put it on Thursdays next year because like there's no room. So like they want to find a place for it. So that's a good sign. But at the same time too, that could be like executive talk for like, you know, he didn't want to like give an answer that people didn't want. So like he didn't want to say it's can, but he was hopeful. So take that for what it was. And then a few days later, there was the canceled Renewed website. They said that one of their sources, like, from Fox was able to tell them that, like, yes, the show's actually been renewed. But I said renewed. But that hasn't been corroborated by anyone. Now, the cast themselves, unless the cast is all lying, the cast themselves has said we don't know anything until May. So
that's not my question though. I'm not asking like what's the likeliness of it ending. I'm saying in terms of the show's storyline, do you think that they could end it here?
Well, I'm bringing that up just for context for the listeners and to frame the conversation too, just because, you know, like it's just so we know where we're at, you know, and because people have been getting nervous because like the cast is like wrapping up filming around now and like they're like posting goodbye stuff and like they do this every year. But like Davi Mazouz's one was like really, really like, you know, like if this is the end, then I was so proud to have like been Batman. I don't feel like without knowing how the next few episodes are going to go, no, I don't think that this would be the place to end it, but I don't know what they're going to do in the season finale. I mean, it's going to be called No Man's Land, but I feel like that in itself sounds like a cliffhanger for like a season 5 of No Man's Land. But if they do end it, I would say like, you know, go back and like redo the last like 10 minutes to do like at least like a flash forward to the future, like, you know, like 5 years later, and we see Gordon like at the commissioner's desk and like he looks like Commissioner Gordon and he goes up to the roof and he lights the back signal and like
he doesn't talk like he used to.
Don't pull a Tom Welling. Like show Davi Mazouz in a Batman suit and he'll do it. He would love to do
would
it.
he?
Yeah.
He would so do it.
He's not going to Tom Welling that shit at all. And
yeah, but to be fair, Superman's costume is synonymous with misfortune, and Batman's is not.
Mm-hmm. I still thought if you take the job, you should do the damn suit.
Yeah, and you could even like do a fake out where like, you know, someone's like, Jim, you know, Barbara's on the phone, and you think he's talking about Barbara Keene, and he like rolls his eyes like, all right, honey, Daddy will be home in a few hours. Just get back to bed. So like we know that. Somehow he has a daughter named Barbara. We don't even have to say who the mom is. Like let the fans speculate, like in Fairly Odd Parents, you know, or something. Like there was a Fairly Odd Parents flash forward where like
I remember that.
we don't know who Timmy marries, Tootie or Trixie or whatever the girls' names were. You know, do that and like just basically like show like kind of like what Smallville did with their little flash forward at the end. Like just show a glimpse of like everyone like. Put Robin Lord Taylor in a fat suit, you know, like maybe like, you know, we go to Arkham and we see like some of our
the same one that Jim was wearing.
Jim was in a fat suit?
Wait, no, someone was in a fat suit.
Who? That's awesome.
Mark Gatiss in that Sherlock special.
Oh yeah, that's the one. No, I think I saw him in a fat suit before though.
But like to me the show isn't over until we see that epilogue like
which Ben McKenzie promised like way back when he said the last shot you'll see before the show ends is Batman. He said like that's how the series will end.
Yeah, and play the Danny Elfman Batman theme just like they did the John Williams theme for the end of like Smallville.
Well, I'm just saying that they could, I mean, like in the way that they've kind of set things up, they could end it here. It feels like a lot of characters, their soul, like the kernel of who these characters are going to be, has been at the forefront of the season, and I think that it makes it. I don't think they will, because I don't think these shows really operate on a sort of a narrative beginning, middle, end anymore. It's just how much they like. Supernatural should be done by now, and it's not. But even though it ended in season 5, but
that's all money.
Exactly. I feel that if this show is making enough money, then they'll do it. Until Diamond Bazaz is older than we are.
Yeah, but that's the other thing too. You say, where can these characters go from here? That's what we asked ourselves at the beginning of this season, with Bruce almost being Batman at the finish line. And then we had this storyline with him firing Alfred and stuff. That's the challenge of the show. Let's take us on a journey where we think that these characters are where they finally need to be, but then the question that we asked, where do we go from here? That's the show's job, to answer it and surprise us.
And also disappoint us.
Yeah.
In season 2, I didn't know where they could take Enigma from here. I'm like, well, he's the Riddler now. What else can we do? And that was 2 years ago.
Well, I think it's. I would not say it's so easy that we thought that before, because I don't know if we thought that before. Seriously, at this point, which character is not, at least, let's ignore Barbara Keane. Which character is not on the path of where they?
She would have been my first one.
We have the Riddler.
I'm sorry. Which character is what?
Which character is not directly close to the path that they're known for? Which character is far away from that?
Jim.
He's Captain when Batman shows up. He doesn't have to become, unless it's Golden Age. I
thought you meant characterization wise. I'm sorry. Continue.
Well, I mean, I feel that he's generally back to
I'm throwing some shade. That's all.
How he was in the beginning, but because there's Batman, Robin Year One, he's Captain, I think, but he's kind of where he's leading the GCPD in a capacity. Bullock's right to his side. Bruce wants to protect the city.
You said GCPD wrong.
Alfred's back at the house. Poison Ivy is there, I guess. Selina has her whip. Ra's al Ghul is a thing. Jerome. We've all seen the pictures. Jerome's going to be the Joker. At this point, and I'm not trying to argue that the show has to end now, but I'm saying that should it be the end? It's not getting cut off at its knees. I don't think.
I feel like there's plenty of places this show can go.
Yeah.
But this show is made of crack and hallucinogens, so the sky's the limit. I mean, Balloon Man showed us that.
Oh,
Indeed.
Man. Really?
I'm never letting that go. That episode was so bad.
The sky's the limit.
So
Balloon Man
bad.
showed us that.
I almost legitimately quit at that moment.
I remember you messaging about that.
I was like, I don't know if I can watch this. Is everything like this? No, it's much worse.
We still haven't seen Gordon and Bullock go to Apocalypse to fight Darkseid.
It's true.
Darkseid, you son of a bitch! I should have known you were behind this.
Did all three of us talk about Jerome's story at all? Because I know that I mentioned I liked what he did in his performance, but I don't think we actually discussed what happened.
I think that was
Although I do know it's a step towards it's just the wheel spinning towards the next part of his plot. It's more of a setup.
I talked about the moments more so because, like I said, I know, and this isn't from the episodes that Fox sent me. This is just from, like I said, the interviews and what's come out. I know what he's looking for and what's coming next, so I didn't really talk about that part because I would have to do a lot of tap dancing.
Okay.
There's it's out there what Jerome's looking for, and it's if people want to Google it or go on Reddit or listen to some interviews, they'll find it, and I'm not sure how I feel about it yet until I see it in action, but I feel like it's a pointless decision, but we'll see. Davi Mazouz thinks that it's brilliant. He said in an interview it's one of the most brilliant things the show's ever done. So
yeah, and that's
if Davi Mazouz likes it, trust him.
He said that Harley Quinn was coming to the show last year, and like Reddit was like, oh my gosh, was Harley Quinn?
I don't trust
like,
that,
what?
but I trust his, like, if he likes something that's happening on the show, I trust it.
He's awesome, and he has a Harley Quinn dog.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Batman. Look at your dog.
What's one of my favorite convention moments ever? So until next time, this is Josh.
This is Don.
And this is Jan.
And you've been listening to the Gotham Chronicle podcast.
When you believe in magic, and I hope you do, you'll always have a friend wearing big red shoes. Anything can happen right before your eyes. Whatever you're expecting, expect a surprise. When you believe in magic, all right.
I believe in magic.
I believe in you.
When you believe in magic.
Wait. No.
You just die.
Final Fantasy or Homeless Adultery?
Sharknado 6 is going to be the last one.
Will Ian Ziering survive?
Oh, it's so crazy.
They'll cross over with like the Gotham like season finale, like. Jerome,
No, but
what's your
seriously,
plan? This is.
If you want to see more of that universe, just watch Z Nation, because the Z Nation comes in the future, like a couple of years in the future from Sharknado 6.
Oh, maybe they'll bridge off.
And one of the main characters that stays throughout the entire, I think it's like 4 seasons now, is a black lady, and she was also in Sharknado 3. And you see her as like a lesser rank than she is in Z Nation.
A few years ago, Donovan and I read like the Archie Sharknado crossover, and it was absolutely hilarious.
It was written by the guy who did the Sharknado movies.
Like, I was not expecting it to be good. I was like, okay, this is like hilarious, especially with like in the middle of the book, like Sabrina the Teenage Witch comes. She's like, "Have no fear, I'll magic this problem away," and then like 6 sharks like tackle her and like dismember her like in front of all of her friends.
Yeah,
like,
no, you
it, like,
should actually
like
watch the
Cheryl
movies.
Blossom's top or something. I should. I think I'd like him.
Yeah, they're like, okay, here's the thing, people are like, these movies are so fucking terrible, why does anybody watch them? It's like,
hello,
because they're terrible. They know what they're doing. They know they're asylum films. If you're gonna sit down and watch an asylum film and expect cinematic gold, you should just hang yourself and save yourself the time.
One of them has Anthony Weiner for some reason.
Has what?
Wait,
yeah.
Anthony, like Huma Abedin's husband?
Yes. I don't know why that happened.
The guy who's
Ann
emails
Coulter's
made, like,
in one of
Comey,
them,
like,
and I think they
throw
just
the election for
in
us?
movies that want to be in movies. I mean, Stacey Dash is in one.
Well, she's an actual actor. I mean, Anthony Weiner wasn't an actor, so like I felt that like I was being trolled.
Neither is Mark Cuban.
I don't know why that was happening.
They probably just put money into the film because they don't. Here's the thing. Each film is bigger and better than the last one, and better is subjective, but they're just more crazy than the last one. So they need more money and more funding because Sci-Fi is not going to fund anything. They don't have they have canceled really good TV shows after a couple of seasons because they can't afford to pay the actors anymore or the production.
Yeah, Krypton might be doomed.
That's a shame.
Like, both the planet and the show.
Yeah.
Did it not get good ratings?
No, after a while they just stop paying you because they can't afford you. Sci-Fi does not.
I feel
They're
like
still. Oh, go ahead.
I was waiting to see if you would go, but then when you didn't, I like jumped in the pool. But then like you jumped in at the same time and we splashed each other.
We just hit each other in midair and fell.
Ow, my nose! And I have the problem like.